Zoom recording.
I do too, and I'm always.
Can you
No.
have Nicole call with Stevie? I can't help him with this issue. This exact moment. We just have all have to I'm getting ready to start taking calls. It's okay. Where are you gonna stand here? I'll be over here at the computer today because we're doing CMAs. Okay.
If everyone can sign in using the QR or scan code on your desk.
Is there a way for them to sign in online?
So we're making a graphic,
Okay,
but right now I'm gonna log in and I'm gonna type in the link that they should do.
okay, on Zoom, so it'll just pop up on Zoom.
Yep.
So I need to tell them that.
Yep.
Okay, Diana's gonna be putting, I hate this because I feel like you guys, I'm like looking not at you. Diana's gonna be putting a link into Zoom, and then that way you guys can sign in so we can just keep track of who's been here for the Boomtown lead. So watch for that. I guess it'll pop up. Good morning. Sorry, we had a little bit of technical difficulties this morning. The room wasn't set up. The computer was all refreshed. Okay, I'm trying to get some of these addresses that you guys sent me yesterday so we can practice our CMAs. Y'all have anything going on fancy?
Offer hopefully gets accepted.
That's exciting
Yeah.
for the guy in Chandler.
Yeah.
Good.
What's the network password here? I forgot.
What's the what?
Network password.
I thought it was our phone number. I think it, do you know the phone number?
Computer.
I know this whole computer reset, so none of our stuff was signed.
Oh, hey, I have a quick question for you.
Sure.
So I have a listing that they want to push it back a week. We've already signed the exclusive right to sell. I can just use the supplement and just say change this date to this date.
I mean, yeah.
You don't even have to do that. Okay.
No, it's not, I mean, a week is no big deal. Okay, we're gonna start doing CMAs today. I asked for addresses yesterday in the group me and I got a whole lot of addresses. If you're not in class, I'm not gonna do yours. So sorry, Bryce, if Bryce pops on, I don't see him yet. Because he was the first, I'm gonna kind of go in order. So Joey, you're gonna be the first one, I think. Oh wait, no, Matt was first. Okay. Okay, so I thought the easiest way to do this was to actually just use your addresses, your upcoming listings. We can walk them through instead of using any of mine or random addresses. This way we can be knocking out two birds with one stone. If you have any questions as we're doing this, so really these are the first times that I'm seeing these addresses too. So you're really going to see my thought process in doing the CMA. And it's when you get a phone call and someone wants you to list their house, this is going to be the first thing you do before you go to the appointment. So you're prepared and ready to go. If you guys on Zoom have any questions, let me know. Hopefully I can hear you. Everything got reset. Okay. Okay, so the first address we're gonna do is 735 Sunset Drive. Is Matt? Oh yeah, Matt, this is yours, right?
Yep.
So the first thing that I do, I'm logged into the MLS. And it looks a little different mine. Okay. I always go to realist first because we got to find out what neighborhood we're actually looking at to do the CMA on this. I'm not used to a Mac, so y'all deal with. Drive. Right, looks good. Matt, I'm probably gonna have you come off mute so we can make sure that this is the right address. This is the one that we did, right? Is this the one that we already done? I've done with you.
Well, we looked at it, and so we've had some interesting developments. That house right next door to it has gone pending 3 times now. And it's all
Matt, hold on real quick. Let me see if I can turn up your volume because I don't know how to do that. And I can't hear you. I can barely hear you. Hold on real quick.
Can you hear me any better?
Hey. Do y'all know how to turn up the volume on Zoom? Anybody? I'm technically challenged.
No, you're
I
fine.
can barely hear him coming out
You
of the
should just
speaker,
be able
so
to
I know
turn
I
it
just
up
need
from the
volume.
computer.
I don't, just maybe, think if I just put the volume on that button. What do we think? Okay, Matt, say something else.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, much better. See, gosh. thanks.
Okay.
Okay, yes.
So the house next door has gone pending 3 times now, and I reached out to the agent. It looks like it's falling apart because of appraisal issues.
Okay.
And then there's one that has sold across the street, which is that extremely high priced one. Like
Okay.
sold for $40 above a square foot above where I kind of did my first CMA on the run on this. So yeah, the pricing on this is really kind of all over the place and not a whole lot of comparables out there to base off of, and
Okay.
just running into those issues.
Okay. Okay, so this is the property we're gonna do. The first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna look for the subdivision, and you're not always gonna have a house in a subdivision, but we'll come to that when we are. So the subdivision is gonna be terrace, and it's ADD, which is addition. So you're gonna wanna make a note of this. I usually print, because I waste paper, I usually print this realist form because it's really easy to look through when you're actually, but we're not, for purposes, I'm just gonna write it down. So terrace addition, we're gonna wanna know that on the realist. You're gonna wanna scroll down on the same form. You wanna know what year it was built. So this one was built in 1969. And you're gonna wanna know square footage, which is 1,040. You will run into things where some of the older houses, a client may say, hey, my house is roughly 1,800 square feet, and you get in and it says 1,040. There was probably an addition made. So I would clarify that before you do this whole process with 1,040. Was there an addition? Is there central heat and air? There'll be sometimes a little bit discrepancies, but if it's within 20 to 30 square feet of what they think, it's probably what it is. It just kind of depends.
Is that what determines if it's included in the square footage is the central heat
Yes.
And ceiling height, and a few other things.
Yeah, so if there's been an addition, the best thing to look at it is, I would say, do you happen to have the appraisal from when you bought the house? That's a really good, it'll kind of give you a really good starting point to see what type of loan, if that appraiser included it. I've had, if it's got central heat and air, it's usually definitely going to be included, unless it's in an attic and like you have really sloped ceilings and you can barely walk in it, they're probably not going to include it.
It's still a judgment call.
It's still a judgment call, yeah. So, but this is usually the best building square footage. If you take the gross area, which is the button right below it, that's gonna include the garage. And we are not including garages when we do CMAs for square footage. So when you do CMAs, everything's gonna be really done on price per square foot, because that's what an appraiser is gonna do and what's gonna look at it. We can we'll look at, when we get in, we'll look at it. So those are the things we need. Year built, 1969, square footage, 1,040, and the addition.
Quick question, is that
So sure.
gross area, is that just the area under roof? So any patio, porch, any
Just under roof, so like garage, it really just includes the garage,
patio?
right?
Okay.
No, it's usually just the garage, unless the patio has been enclosed and they're trying to include that in square footage, but most of the time that won't show up on tax records.
If they have a window unit in an enclosed area, does that count as central?
It depends on how nice the window unit is, to be honest.
It depends what, how big their AC.
So this is really dependent upon appraiser. I mean, to be honest, if it's a window unit where you can just lift the window and take it out, but if it's actually like a unit that was like built into the wall, you know, you've seen them where they're,
Like lower to the ground?
yes,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Sometimes, you guys can't see my,
Especially if it's been rewired 220 and it has an
Yeah.
outside guard mount to like. frame.
it really depends on the appraiser, to be honest. I would love to tell you, yes, they're gonna count it every time, but you may get,
What I hear you saying is if it's not that actual central heat and air, it's ready to argue the point.
yes, but if it's like a built-in window unit, usually that'll help too, because you can argue that it's not removable. You can't just take that out and not make it central heat there. Okay, we're gonna get to this. Terrace, okay. So we got what we need off of here. We're gonna go back. And then we're gonna go to search. And I'm going to click active, pending, and sold. If I can pick sold. And I'm gonna go back 360 days. That doesn't mean I'm gonna use everything from that far, but that gives me a really big picture of the neighborhood. And I think when me and Matt did this one before, I think it's a small, really smaller area. Oh, yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna put terrace ADD and I'm gonna put an asterisk next to it. Because that's gonna include everything. So if it's like terrace edition 1, terrace section 5, that's gonna include everything. And then we're going, and there's 10 matches. Everyone see where we're at? Okay, we're gonna go to here. So these are the 10 houses that have sold in this edition in the last 360 days. I'm gonna select all of them. And I'm gonna go to a 1-line CMA. Okay, so this is active pendings and sold for the last year. So there's one right now, which is like right down the street. It's pending. It's 1,019 square feet. And it was 15 days on the market, which is kind of a long time in this market. Original price 149, list price 149. We do not what it's sold for because it has not closed yet, but it's a, you can sometimes call the agent and say, hey man, you listed this for 147 per square foot. Could be a really good comp for me because this will probably close before your house gets appraised that you're listing at. Not all realtors will tell you what they're under contract for. Because if it busts, then you kind of have an advantage of what the seller would take, but most are going to be nice enough to say, hey, this is what we got for appraisal purposes. If you just tell them, hey, I'm trying to list a house, I think it'd be a really good comp because it would be. This one, ours was built in 69, this one's built in 68, ours is 1,000. So this is almost a direct comp when you look at it on paper. We're going to go back and look at some of the pictures just to see.
This is the one that's right next door that this is the third time it's gone pending. That's why it's 15 days on market.
So it keeps, so that's also something to know.
And
Okay.
they cut out all VA and FHA offers on this third go around.
Okay, so Matt knows a lot more about this property than you're normally gonna know about. He's pretty invested in this. I think this is your cousin's house, right?
Yes.
Okay, so he's gonna know a lot more, but you're not gonna know that information. So if we didn't know that information, we're just looking at it on paper.
Well, and I called the realtor and asked him and he told me, so.
Okay, that's good, see? So now we're looking at all the other ones and they're kind of all over the place, to be honest. I mean, square footage is all pretty comparable to ours. You can go up and down 5 years. So we're really looking for anything that's 1964 up to 1974. So really, this one at 115 per square foot looks like the only one that we can include. So these are all over the board. We go from 181 square feet to 110. So this one's kind of a hard, but they all, you can see over here, they're all selling super, super fast. So then what you're going to want to do is look at when they were sold, because today's market is different than last year's market. But this is in a very big neighborhood. So ones that have sold most recently is 809 Sunset. What's that one went for? 110 and 808, 181. Okay, fine. So we're going to go back. So you're going to go back to this where we pulled up, and then we're going to look at it. So this one went for $181 per square foot. I can come in here and say, okay, it went conventional loan. It wasn't cash. So it actually had to be appraised for that. Because if this was cash, we would throw this one out the door. Because if it was cash, it didn't have to appraise for that. So it's probably not a good comp. They only offered 2.5%. So that's annoying. Just kidding. But anyway, so I also look at the pictures because you have some knowledge of what the house looks like. You should ask that when the seller says, hey, I need to sell my house. Great, what updates have you made? And if you didn't get any information, you're going in cold to this, I would just make a note on your CMA for your listing appointment, what this one has. Okay, this one looks like it's been totally remodeled. It's got granite, looks like new appliances, paint, flooring. Like this
Yeah.
looks like a total flip.
It was
Um,
it was a complete gut job.
Okay, so I would look at that and then I would go back to your other houses. And like this one for pending, because it's 147 per square foot. I would look at this one too. Okay, this one's not a complete remodel. Like not close. It's cute. But it doesn't, I mean, it looks average. Right? Nothing fancy about this. So I'd come back and I would call that agent on this one because this is going to be a huge discrepancy. We got 147 up here. We got 181 for a flip. And then the next closest one is 127. So I would make those notes. I would do the listing appointment and have three. One just went under, one's midway at 147, one's at 181 total gut job, and one's at 127. I would look at the 127 too. Let's just look at it real quick. 718. Matt gave us a really hard one to start with. Thanks, Matt.
You're welcome.
What did I say? Is it this one? No. I remember what my address was. Oh, here it is. This one's 127. Oh, there's a dumpster out front. Yeah. So this one's really, I mean, so this kind of gives you the three stages. 127 if it needs complete remodeled, 147 if the realtor said she got that for remodeled but not a total gut, and the last one was the 181. I would make those notes. I would do the math on all of them for the 1,040 square feet. So I don't have my calendar. I guess I can. I don't know how to use this. I gotta use my phone.
And Leslie, back on Realist, you can pull the last listing for my address and see.
Okay. Hold on. So 1,040 times the 127 makes it 132. So if my house that I showed up to looks like this house in the pictures, I'm probably going to list it between 132 and 135.9, just because I like numbers that end in 9 and it's good rounded up. If it needs it, and this market will probably carry a little bit better than what this one, because we're in a really good market right now. If I half remodel that wasn't like a total gut job, I would go to the 147 and say, okay, I think it comes out to 152.8. And I'm gonna probably round that down to 149.9 because you're gonna capture more buyers at that price point. If it's halfway. And if it's total gut, then I'm gonna go with the 181 and be like, hey, we're gonna be closer to 188. So it can be 132 up to 188, depending on how it's finished out. Does that make sense? This one's a lot more difficult and complex to be our first one, but.
Hey, Leslie, I got 2 questions.
Yes.
Hey, it's Lauren Dermish.
Hi.
Sorry, I'm home with my sick kiddo. So
No, you're good. You're good.
I feel like that's the story of my life. I feel like I say that every day. How did you get to that one line CMA view?
So let me go back here. Okay. So when I did this, when I went in and I put the addition, active, pending, and sold. Here, I'm going to click out of it. Let me get back in. I go to results. And then up here, I do agent single line at the top. And it's going to give you all the houses. If you click this check mark up the top, it selects them all. And then you hit one line CMA.
Oh my gosh. I did not know you could do that. That's so cool.
Yeah, fancy.
Okay. And the second question is, I've heard some agents that I think people maybe have different approaches. Sorry, I know it's okay. To this. So some say I do recommend a price. That's what people are looking to me for. And then some say like, I never give a specific price. I always give a range and then they can pick.
Oh yeah, no, I don't do that.
What approach do you take?
I do not do that. So I always have 2 or 3 numbers going into an appointment. I do the best that I can on paper, and then I go in and based on the condition, smell, and update, I decide on the price then. I always ask them up front. I say, hey, what do you guys think? My number's not going to change from what you tell me, but what are you thinking? Because then I know how to deliver the message. So if I think the house is going to be listed at 150 and I have that written down and I walk in and yep, that's what I think it's going to be listed at, because I've done all this work. I've done the work that the appraiser is going to do. So I know that's a really good price. And I asked them that question, like, hey, I have my number, but I just would like to know where you guys stand. Like, what are you thinking? And they tell me, oh, we definitely think 180. I know that I'm gonna have to deliver that 150 a little bit cautiously, but I tell them the process and why I'm pricing it that. They could probably sell it for 180 all day long, but if it doesn't appraise, they're gonna be really disappointed when they have to bring it down to the 150 where I told them. And I tell them, you guys are the boss. I work for you. I'm just telling you realistically, this is where it should be priced at. If you guys want to list higher that's totally your choice. But no, you may be disappointed when the appraisal comes in low, and I want to set those expectations up front. I tell them a really hard price. I'm going to be better at pricing it than they are. To answer your question. Any
Thank you.
questions? Yep, you're welcome. Any questions on any of these? We're gonna go to the next one. Let's see who's online. I was trying to go in order, but I don't want to.
I have a technical question.
Yeah.
When you share comps, so I've been using the CMA feature, which it's like a little much, like it's an entire booklet, and it actually doesn't give as much detail as I would like. Like it doesn't, and it's a little much. It's like an entire packet. So when
Okay.
you share comps with people, do you just share this one line CMA view?
Yep, I take it with me and I show them this house sold for this much per square foot. This is why I think you're there. Yeah, I show them because it justifies the information I just told them. Like I'm not pulling it out of nowhere.
So you don't actually do the CMA feature in MLS, you just kind of use this and then they can click into it if they want. Like you can email these to them and they can click into it and see condition.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Was someone else asking me a question at the same time? Did you have a question?
I would just ask if you're showing comps to buyers or sellers, and do you use the pictures of the comps that you use? Like, you get your computer out and show them, like, hey, look, this one was good to more justify your pricing?
Usually I don't. But I mean, I kind of have a routine because I just have a routine of how I do it and how I go in. But if I feel like they're pushing back, like, no, I really know my house is going to sell for 180, then yeah, I'll pull it out and say, this house sold for 150 and it's completely remodeled. Like, let me show you the pictures. If I need to for justification, but usually I have said enough about the market and how I got to the price that they don't question that. I mean, most of the time sellers have gone and looked at houses that have sold around them. I mean, maybe not, but sometimes they can go on Zillow and see that their neighbor's house is for sale. So they've seen a lot of the pictures. But I usually don't, but I mean, it'd be a good tool if you needed to.
If you're using pictures, I think one thing that helps in helping them compare their house to the houses that are sold is to use those pictures and ask, hey, so this living room, how do you feel that, ask them and have them state, you know, how do you feel that your living room compares to this living room? Your kitchen, right? Your bathroom, et cetera. So it's kind of good to, I feel like it's kind of good to get them to say how they feel there's values compared to those.
Okay. Joey, I think this is your, oh, did you have a question?
I had a question. I have a listing right now that's yesterday, and I got a lot of showings and one offer.
Great.
The cash offer, I would have brought an investor for $150,000, without budgeting at all.
I don't think they should have, I mean,
And there's no garage, and it's a big fact, they kept it out, right? There's a lot of good stuff in it. So I did a lot of pricing. In fact, I go into what you did also, the way I take all the variables I got, that are close.
mhm.
I add them all the square footage up and divide them by that number, and use that as an average. You don't need just one piece of puzzle to get close.
Yeah, so I'll show you on the one line CMA, it also gives you an average, a
One,
median,
two,
and a low.
I mean, they're about $1,900 less than what you're asking for. It's a cash offer. And that's a good deal.
Sure.
But they are firm on that, your decision.
Right.
But how would you approach that?
I don't know if I should have this, can we talk after class and we'll walk through it? Okay, because I don't know how I can connect that to this. Okay, Joey, this is your address, 2840 Northwest 19th Street, right? Okay. Put it in Realist. Does it sound right? Is this right? Because sometimes it pulls up wonky things with more Oklahoma City. Okay, so Linda and Jake, you want to make sure this is your client because sometimes it doesn't pull up the right person.
Yeah, he is best way.
Okay, it's in a trust, so you're good. So, see, this is fun. Oh, you guys are not giving me easy ones at all. This one was built in 1950, effect.
No, it was built in 28. The 1950 was literally a closet add-on off the side of the house.
Really, Joey?
I know, hey, look, it's not for lack of trying. I asked everyone to let me sell their house. These are just the people that said yes.
Okay, so Joey says this year built is really 1928. It says,
Or up there about in the 20s. It's
Okay.
not- I don't know.
says 1950 on Realist. And the effective year, like it's been completely torn down and remodeled, was 1970. So this will be fun too. Square footage on this one, 1763. I just want like a 2000 neighborhood. Just kidding. Square footage 1963 on this.
Learn from the hard ones, right?
I know, right? I'm like, thanks a lot, guys. Okay, and the neighborhood is Crestwood Addition. So we're gonna go back up. Pending, sold, 360. Have you done comps on this at all?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, checking my work, I mean, I took the Jason G approach, which was like,
It's not in here.
oh yeah, no, it's,
I'm joking.
I take that approach of like, hey, the market's gonna determine regardless. So if we're too high, we're gonna have a grouping lower and you guys are gonna have to
Okay.
understand, she just got remarried.
Okay.
And if I heard the question, can you get 250 out of this one more time, I was gonna just, yeah, I felt like, you know,
Okay.
I'll listen to 250.
Okay, so I pulled this one up. Crestwood Edition has tons of houses. And so it has 34 that has showed up, but this is too much for us because really something that's 900 square feet, we're not gonna use because it's not a comp for us. So we're gonna go back to criteria and I'm gonna add an extra criterion in the square footage. So we are at 1763. We can go really 500 square feet down and 500 square feet above that. So we're just gonna do like 1263 to 22. Just gonna rough it. Okay. So now we have 26 matches, which is better than the 34 that we have. Did you guys see how I narrowed that down? We're gonna come up, we're gonna select all of them and we're gonna do one line CMA.
Leslie, do you always do a year or do you sometimes
I do a
When you
year.
by
Yeah.
time or do?
I usually do a year because that's what an appraiser is going to use. They can use up to a year. Now, they have the sold dates on these. And so if I'm getting a whole lot more that are updated and sold for higher price in 21, I'm going to use those numbers before I use 20. But sometimes you can get a comp that you really need and it was from 300 days ago instead of using just 6 months because an appraiser can go back all the way to 360. So this one looks like there's 3 active on the market, 142 to 132. One's pending at 147. And then you can kind of see over here what they've sold for. Now, someone asked this a minute ago. So the median in this neighborhood in the last year, the median has been 131. The absolute lowest one is sold is 71 bucks. But I figured I can go back and look at that. I'm not going to for time purposes, but it could have been a foreclosure. It could have been short sale, something like that, because that doesn't look like that's not even close to the median. The maximum one sold in this neighborhood is 150. So if your client comes to you and says, I want to sell, and they end up wanting to sell for 170, probably not going to happen. And then the average is 125. Okay, I don't know anything about this house that we're talking about. Do you know anything about it? Is it remodeled? Is it average? Is it exceptional?
It's above average. That neighborhood has a median on it, and everybody loves the median, walking around down it. So it's right in front of the median.
Okay.
It's got a Generac generator. They put about 10 grand in the backyard. It's in really, really good shape.
My mom lives on that street. She lives
Well,
right up the street from the house.
maybe you'll have a buyer.
No.
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 So going,
My mom's really-
She's at 29.
Okay.
She's like 4 houses down from May.
Yeah, so she's on the north side. Okay.
is it 1 story or 2?
Oh,
So that makes a difference too. So usually 2 stories are not going to be as priced as high as 1 stories. The appraiser, they just lose a little bit of their value, or they're not a direct comp. So if you're having a 1 story, you need to compare it with 1 story. If you're trying to do a listing with a 2 story, make sure you're comparing it with 2 stories, because that's going to change the value a little bit to the appraiser. So like this is 1.5, 2, 2. A lot of these you're not going to want to use. I usually just take a marker and mark them out when I'm doing it, because I don't do anything on the computer. I'm just being honest. So we're going to look what we think. And these are mostly 19. So let's try to see one that was 1928 that's close to our square footage, or something that's close to our 17. That's a 2. So this one's really close to our square footage. It's a 2 story. We're not going to use that one. It's a 2 story. This one's not bad. This one's at a 111. Oh, this was on the market for a really long time. We would want to check that out. So this one just sold in January. It's a pretty close comp. 1932, only 4 years. It's 111, but this makes me want to know why it was on the market for 189. So I'd go back and look at pictures of this one. So I don't want to,
That one was old, like, not-
super old.
Yeah, not really old.
Okay, let's come down here. This is 1.5. It depends on what that half means, whoever put this in, but this is a pretty close comp too. This was at 135. And it sold in 6 days.
That was my,
31. Y'all know so much about these properties.
that's crazy. I mean, they could have got more out of that. I was like, I think that. I'm biased. I want all these prices to go to my house.
Oh, okay.
Where are you at?
I'm right down the street from your mom. Your mom bought,
18.
Michael the golf school house.
No, my mom's lived there forever.
Okay.
Her mom and dad owned it, and there's a rental property. She's got 29.50 and a half. And that's why
Okay.
we're hanging on to that.
Oh, okay. So she's next door. Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna look at these numbers. I'm gonna say this one, it is 2 story, but I'm still gonna use it because I think we'll be pretty close, because it's the biggest in square footage and in year. So 140 is probably the top that I would list this property at.
That's what I thought too. I'm at 1.
Where are we at? 1763. So that makes it 246. And I also look at this. So when I come up with a number, I'm going to come over here to the actual sales price too, because you could come up with like 290, and now I'm going to see I've priced myself out of the neighborhood, which you don't want to do either. So, but really at 246, if it's updated, that's probably where this one's going to go. And you can see that's at least like 6 or 7 houses have at least sold for that in the neighborhood.
Right.
Then I'm also going to come in and say, this one's 111, which there's a big difference between 140 and 111 in square feet, but that's probably going to be my lower end of the mark, which is 195. So I'm going to have both of those numbers written down. I'm going to go to the house. I'm going to assess it at the house, but I'm going to know that I'm gonna be able to get either one of those prices. But I'm only gonna be able to get the top one if it's been remodeled, it has nice things about it. I always take a range when I go on these houses, because these are older homes. If you're like if you're looking at homes, which hopefully one of these addresses will be that are like 95 and above, those are gonna be quite a bit easier to comp. Just because the alterations haven't been made for 100 years. They're usually cut and dry that way. 95 and above, people sometimes have changed flooring, paint, but nothing's gonna be like structurally changed. Does that make sense? What did you come up with
I listed it for 142.
per square foot?
Yeah, just because.
When did you list it?
Do it.
It's already listed,
No.
Oh.
I'm not listing until the 28th.
but that's what you told them?
Yeah, we were supposed to list,
Okay.
this coming up on the 21st, but they need an extra week, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just wanted to see how far off we really were, which I don't think, I mean, $5,000, I don't think it's gonna, in this market, I think I can fly by.
Yeah, you just may watch appraisal depending on the appraiser you get.
Right.
Because really, in this market, you guys can list for, it's probably, you're gonna get over asking and hopefully they'll guarantee your appraisal. So this is really like a starting point. I told someone that the other day, I went on a listing appointment and the comps say that it will only sell for 165 and that is pushing it. But I told them that they could expect to get up to 175 in this market and they could guarantee the appraisal, because that's what I'm seeing on our listings in that price range. And the first question I got is, well, why are we not listing it at 175? Well, because I don't want someone to come in and offer 175 and it not appraised for that. And now you're gonna have to lower to the appraised value. I always list at what I think it'll appraise for. And if someone wants to offer to bring the difference, that's better for the buyer or better for the seller. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
100%. Does any, I'm like going in line and I should have checked these before I started just doing these really hard ones. Does anyone have a one in here that you guys want me to use?
I have one.
Okay. Okay, what is it, Susie?
608 Southwest 4th Street.
This one's gonna be an older home too. I know. You guys. Just wanted something easy.
You said 608 Southwest 74.
Oh yeah, 608 Southwest 54. Yeah. I cannot see this. Oh wait. Right. May not either.
Oh, I found it.
Is that right? Porous, Miriam, porous? Does that sound right? Okay. First thing we're gonna do, subdivision. I haven't heard of this subdivision, so this may be a good one because we may have to go back out and do area. So sometimes like you'll have a neighborhood that's like a street. So when you pull this up and it, whatever it is, you may look and there may be 0 for the last year. Like a house hasn't sold on this street because the house, it only consists of like 10 houses. So if that happens, which we'll do that, if that happens, you can back out and you can go in and do a box around the area you're looking for. I'll show you guys before we end today what I'm talking about, just in case. So this one was built in 60. It's 1,099 square feet. This one will go fast, Susie. There's like nothing over in this area for that square footage right now.
That's what he's doing
He doesn't want it to go fast.
now.
Why not?
Just let it go.
Oh, nope, not 8. Okay, so this is gonna give me 1. So this is a good example. So there's only 1 house that is actually sold in this legal edition. And I'm gonna, let's look at it.
Did you do Bill Park or did you do square footage at all?
No, I just did Bill Park. I only switch to square footage when I come up with over like 25 houses, and then I'll put the, and if I come up with like, because there's some huge neighborhoods that like square mile. So like the Grove, for example, if you put in the Grove in Edmond, you're probably gonna come up with 100 houses that have been sold, pending, or active in the last year. So then I would put in the square footage. If that still gave me 50, then I'm gonna put the 5 years up and down that I need. So I have a picture of like 20 houses. That's really what I want. This is not. Yep.
You go,
What?
what was the range for square footage when you filtered by square footage? What was the range that you used to like go up or down?
Up or down 500, same thing. It's like 500 for square footage and up and down 5 years for age.
Okay, perfect, thanks.
I have a question
Okay.
too.
Oh, yep.
Why do you use square footage as opposed to when you have so many results, maybe narrowing it down to like bed and bath? So you get a more similar.
Because an appraiser is going to do it by square footage, not bed and bath. I'm looking at this as like I'm an appraiser.
Okay. Just clarifying.
Yeah, and you can narrow it down after you do the square footage. But if you have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, but they're 1,000 square feet difference, the appraiser's not going to look at that. So once you do the 500 up or down, then, and let's say you still have a whole lot of results, then you can narrow it by bed, bath, and do those kind of, but you would definitely want to do the square footage first.
Okay, I guess I was kind of doing both. I was narrowing it down by the bed and the bath and then looking for those similar square footages
Yeah.
as close to mine as possible. So gotcha.
Yep.
Okay.
That was good. Okay, so this one's only going to give us one property. So I did my CMA and it says $68 per square foot. It's sold in September, so it's not like the best snapshot. It's not even, it's 500 square feet bigger than ours too. So this is what we're going to do when this happens. We're going to go back and see where this property is. Did you guys, oh, sorry, I'm probably going too fast. Did y'all see how I did that? Sorry, let me go back. Okay, so I put the addition, active pending and sold. This only gave me one match. So I want to see where this property is. So I'm going to go to map up here at the top. And I'm going to see that it's South Walker and 59. And I'm just going to remember that it's South Walker and 59. So I'm going to go back to my criteria. I'm going to take my legal addition away. And this is going to bring me like 5,000 results because I did any active pending sold in the last year. I'm going to go to map. And then I'm going to have a better picture of, I can't point, y'all can't see what I'm pointing to, but I'm going to have a better picture of this area. So when I do it by map, this is 59. Where am I at? Walker? I'm over here. Sorry. This is going to give me a bit better picture. This gave me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 versus the one I had before. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to look at this area. I guess I could have done that because you guys can see that too. I'll get it. And I'm going to go up here and I'm going to draw a box around this area. And now I'm going to go to results. So yes, there's only one in that technical neighborhood, but an appraiser is going to go out and use these houses. We're in a square mile of it. And then I'm going to click the top just like before, and I'm going to do one line CMA. All over the place. So 1960 is what we're looking for. Really, I'm probably going to use 54, even though it's 6 years. I'm going to use this one. Probably going to use most of these. 76, where are we on square footage? I'm not going to use this one. This is 2-story, 1907 square feet. It won't even work for us. So I'm probably going to use these top right here. Do you know if it has a garage, Susie? Or if it's converted?
Yeah.
But it's not, it's working.
Yeah. It also has a.
Okay. So these, I'm probably not going to use that one either because this market's better than that. So let's look at the pictures and make sure nothing's crazy going on. That one's $68 per square foot. This one has a converted garage. You can see in the picture. So it doesn't even look like it. Okay, so this has been pretty updated for the area. I mean, it's not gonna give you a whole lot, but, and it doesn't even look like it just has a carport. 82 is the highest one that's sold in this area. But because I know the market a little bit better and it has a garage, I'm probably gonna push that a little higher. I mean, I don't know this area, but I know it from paper. Let me go back.
Would 89.9 be crazy?
What is that price per square foot? Where did I go? Where am I? What is that price per square foot? Oh, sorry.
Just under 8.
That'd probably be close. Honestly, these are both 80, since both of these sold for $82 per square foot, but they sold in March. And I would probably be around that. I would probably bump it up to 85. Just because the markets will probably hold that a little bit better. What's 85 times, what are we, 1099? I would list it at 92.9. We're gonna be right under $85 per square foot. You'll have multiple offers and it will sell super fast, Susie. Especially because it has a garage.
How far are you allowed to go out when you're using that area? Say you're in a rural area that only has 1 or 2 houses in the entire section.
Yes, so if you're in a rural area, that's gonna be a little bit different. Because those usually have land. And so I will, if we had an address, I would show you. I'm gonna do it by acres. So if I can't find anything immediately around it within a mile or two, you can stay in the same school district. And do, let's say you have a property with 5 acres. I would probably search 1 to 10 acres. I would also do the square footage, 500 or 500, and the age 5 and 5. And then I would do it in that school district. And those sometimes will get you the comps.
I've got a really good one that
Does that make sense
Yeah.
to go that far? Okay, do what?
For what he's talking about, I got a really good an address for that.
We can totally do it. I just want to make sure that I'm getting to everybody else's too. Do you guys have any questions about anything yet so far? I have to keep going back to this group meeting to see. Do you guys have any questions on Zoom?
We're gonna be putting up one of our rental properties. So it's in an LLC. I'm a member of the LLC. I think I'm gonna put it up on Friday and just do showing Saturday, Sunday, do an open house.
Is it rented?
Yes, it has a tenant,
Okay, when's the lease in
July 10th.
of 2021?
Yeah.
Okay,
So I was thinking to do it now because whoever bought it the tenant would like to stay, but they know that they may not.
okay,
So I was gonna allow them to renew the lease with the tenant if they wanted to, or it would be kind of like a longer closing. July 10th, they could have the tenant there, get rent for a month and then move in.
okay. Just so you know, in the contract, like in the realtor notes, you're gonna want to put how much rent that you're charging them right now. You're gonna, like, if you're making 1,000, like renters paying $1,000 a month. You want to put that in the realtor notes. You want to put that their contract technically ends July, but they would like to stay. And then also whatever their security deposit is will transfer to the new owners if they close before July.
Yes.
Just
So, yes, those were all things I was gonna confirm. That's awesome. And then what's the language for if you're the owner? Listing agent is,
Seller. Seller is licensed agent in Oklahoma, and you put your license number.
okay,
And you need to put that in additional provisions. And it needs to be like, you need, when to just say, this needs to be included in the additional provisions of the contract. Seller is listing agent, or listing agent is seller license number. You can always counter that, but if the buyer will go ahead and if the agent will put it in prior, it'll be easier on you.
okay, it needs to go in additional provisions. It just needs
On the
to
contract. Yep.
Seller's licensed agent in Oklahoma and license number.
Now, even if it's held by an LLC and you're acting in the interest of the LLC, not as a selling,
Yes.
not as the agent owner?
Yes.
I thought there was, I
You
thought
want to
that
be
as a
sued?
license. No, I don't want to be sued, but
That's what I'm saying. You should over disclose instead of under disclosing. I mean, technically, you could maybe argue that you don't have to do it, but if we had an incident happen, and it wasn't disclosed that they were a part of the transaction and it did not go in that person's favor. So you should always over disclose. You will never get in trouble for over disclosing, but you could get yourself in a situation for not.
that's fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, I would always be extra cautious on that. And I'm gonna do one more. Alicia, I'm gonna do yours. 'Cause it looks like
Perfect. I gotta send that to her today, so that would be awesome.
Okay, yep, we'll do that one real quick. And then if you guys have questions, we'll cover that too. Oh, yeah, I should do this first. Okay. Okay, the address we're gonna do is 2942 Northwest 160th.
And I don't know if this makes a difference. I'm sure maybe it does. So she bought it a year ago. So when I pulled her comps, her address actually comes up within the comps.
Okay, that's okay. Unfortunately,
Okay.
appraiser may do that too.
Okay.
Is this like a retirement community? It's
Kind of, yeah.
okay. So we're gonna scroll down. You can kind of see them up here, but I always check them down. So we're Edinburgh is the addition that we're gonna do. I don't need the 2 because I'm gonna put an asterisk. We're gonna scroll down.
What was that owner's name?
Whitney Holler. Do you know?
No.
She's using Alicia.
Back it up. I'm just kidding.
Year built 2002. And square footage is 2035. What a good one. Is it really 2-bedroom?
Yes.
Probably a lot of the houses, I'm assuming, in this neighborhood are. Okay. So she just bought it. So Alicia says that it is gonna probably show up on our comps. I spell that right. And it's not 8. Okay, so we have 11. I'm gonna select the top to select all the properties, one line CMA. Okay. What's really good is there's no active property, so it's I mean, people are buying in there. Let's just see. 2 are pending, 176, 153. 2. Alicia, is this 1 story or 2? I didn't look.
Hers is 1.
1. And they're all 2-bedroom, it looks like, besides a few. Well, I guess a few are 3, the bigger ones. Okay, so we're at 2,000 square feet. Her house is a direct comp. Is that right? So her house has sold more than any other house has sold in the neighborhood since then.
What do you want?
Alicia, I would call this person. Have you talked to this agent, the one that's pending at 176?
I haven't. When you said that today, I was gonna do that.
So the only reason why is because I'm assuming she's gonna want to sell it for more than what she bought it for.
Right.
And she has the highest comp right now that is closed in the neighborhood. So the only thing that will help her is if this person up here got higher than 156.
Okay.
Unless she's made some sort of really expensive changes to the house in the last year, I don't see an appraiser coming in and giving more than what it appraised for last time. Just gonna be honest with you.
Okay.
So I would call whoever this agent is. Let's see if we know them. Are they nice?
It's a Keller Williams, but not our office.
I don't know, Kathy. Oh, wait. No, it's not. It's somebody with Chenoweth and Cohen.
Oh,
Kathy.
okay.
Chenoweth, whatever. I don't know who she is. But I would just call her and just say, hey, that you're about to go on a listing appointment. You see it's under contract. If she doesn't give you any information, you may try the person that it's under contract with, which is Greg,
Mhm.
at KW, and just say, hey, I'm not trying to get your information. I'm just trying to list a property. I wanted to know what your buyer put in on this. And has the
Okay.
appraisal been done? Because if the appraisal hasn't been done, that doesn't really matter.
Okay,
Does that make
Perfect.
sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
thank you.
If it hasn't been done, you may just tell her that it's gonna be a risk.
Yeah, there's reasons why she's looking into this, just because she has another option that she's trying to see if it's even worth selling at the moment.
Okay.
I don't want to disclose, I guess, her personal information, but yeah, there's just reasons why she's looking to see. It may not be worth it to her, but she at least wanted to get the comps and see what her options are.
Yeah. You may look, I mean, if for some reason you could always, I mean, probably 335 is the highest that I would list that at without knowing if this has got appraised or not. If this is appraised, I mean, it's almost a direct comp. I would list it at the 176 if it already appraised for that.
Okay,
So that's some
Perfect.
good information. So, okay, cool. So last one we're gonna do today in class, just because these take forever. Do you guys have any questions, comments, concerns? I'm gonna stay after. No? Okay. I think we have, I'm not really good at announcements because Nicole knows most of them. I think we have another mastermind on Monday, if you guys want some lunch. But I'll have her put it in the group me what that looks like, because I don't know what that is. I wasn't there last time, sorry. And then our contracts class and stuff, I know she moved. If you guys want to jump in on that, we'll also let you know when that's gonna be. We're just trying to get everybody caught up. We're gonna do a contracts class for listing and a buyer's contract, how to work the MLS. It's gonna be something that's gonna be put in the boot camp classes for the brand new agents coming in that you guys didn't have to go in. But now if anybody joins the office, we're gonna put them into a 4-week boot camp class. So we're not having to explain that in here because this is supposed to be like a next level coaching. So you guys are more than welcome to come to those if you want to too. If you don't have anything, we're done.
Thank you.
So, and I
Thank
will
you.
do CMAs. Thank you. I will do CMAs with you guys all day long. So like you can call, well, not really all day long, but you can call me and say,
Just send them to you?
yeah, that's what my team does, to check their work. So like if you guys do it and you're like, hey, I think this is good, but you're just kind of questioning it, call me. I do them pretty fast because I'm used to doing them. So even a quick text, hey, this is the address. This is what I got. What do you think? And I'd be more than happy to check them and tell you, yes, I agree with you, or no, or how did you get this? And we can kind of walk through that, but it doesn't take me very long. And I don't mind to do that either.
How do you do them on your phone
I don't do them on my phone.
at all? If you're going around with an investor client that's seeing a bunch of houses and all offers for 2 by day and
I mean, I don't do them on my phone. But this market's different. So if you're going around with investors all day long and it's multiple offers due by noon, it's really what do you want to pay for the house, not what it's worth. Because someone else is gonna pay probably 10 grand over. So if your investor doesn't want to do that, then I would just move on and not waste your time. If it's a property, you know, like, hey, they're really interested in this and we're gonna go see it at noon, maybe run a quick one before you go out there and say, hey, like it's really priced. The only time that I'm really doing those is to make sure that if I'm over asking that I think it's gonna appraise for that. But it's kind of like the wild, wild west right now for buyers. I mean, it's different on listings because you have to price them accordingly, but
right. It's just.
it's gonna be like, are you willing to pay that? Great, then we'll need to make that offer. That helps.
We, put in so many offers, I'm like, why are we continuing? I'm not complaining, but why are we continuing to look if we're not gonna really bump up our price? Once you don't get enough houses.
I have some buyers like that too. I'm with you.
I think you made a really great point about listing the property and what you think it's gonna appraise for, because if you list it above and they expect it to appraise for that, and then the deal busts because they can't get financing, then
Right.
that's gonna just put their market on, their market on
Yeah.
for a longer exposure time, right? It's gonna be that.
there's so many people asking, like going above and saying, hey, I'll pay that because they can finance it, but there's buyers right now guaranteeing the appraisal. And I might as well protect my sellers because that's the best interest I have of doing this process and saying, I know for sure that it's gonna appraise at this price. And it'll be really risky at this price, but if we can find a buyer that guarantees that gap,
Yeah.
that's great.
Right. And say they need 185 for it, but it will increase for maybe 175. Well, they still will have to accept an offer.
Correct.
185 and just turn it for a
Yep.
buy. Like that appraisal gap is-
My brother was telling me about a realtor in his neighborhood that listed their house, brand new realtor, they wanted to get an open house out of it, listed their house for 50,000 over what they thought the price for just to get an open house, and sold it for 40,000.
Wow. Did it appraise? Did they even have an appraisal? Oh,
Cash buyer.
Yeah. all those California cash buyers coming in.
That's the cheapest
We like
apple
them.
I've ever seen.
I know. All right, you guys have any questions online? No, I don't think so. I think everyone's.
No, ma'am.
Okay, have a good day, guys.
Thanks.
I have a question on the property that
Let's go.